Welcome to the Pinning Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Dick Briggs, ready to discuss the national qualifiers and the at the NCAA Division I level. We'll also discuss the national championships for the National Women's Coaches Collegiate Championships this last weekend in Coralville. Of course, it's a repeat performance for the Hawkeye women. And then NAIA as well, and a look ahead at the national championships coming up this weekend, especially with NCAA Division III and Division II getting underway starting Friday. Briggsy, you got to be pretty happy, I would guess, with what you watched from the Panthers this week.
Right, Panthers. You know, the first round wasn't great. It was not a great round, and it was good, but it wasn't great. Like, I'll call him out right now. Julian Farber lost early. It might have been the second round, but that morning session to the eventual champion, had to come back and wrestle five matches and win them against the number 4 seed and the number 1 seed on his way back through to finish third, which is what he was seeded anyway. And but you know, so the Panthers really had a great tournament. That was just one highlight that stuck out to me. So,
oh yeah, for sure. We'll talk about how that played out down at Tulsa in the Box Center, BOK Center. The unofficial host, I guess you would say. Sounded like it was great turnout. Attendance records were set. We'll touch on that. But let's start with the Big Ten. Let's just jump right into it. The Big Ten tournament at Northwestern. I will mention this, just a personal thing. My second Big Ten championships. My very first Big Ten tournament I covered was 2010 in Michigan. At the Chrysler Arena. The second one, which happened to be the first Penn State title, was at Northwestern's Welsh Ryan Arena. Of course, they've gone through renovations where it is such a nicer venue than it was before. Before the renovations there, Northwestern, man, it was like a glorified high school gym, and you kind of wondered how this was a Big Ten facility for its sports, and it's now a really nice venue. So, kind of coming full circle a little bit, but similar result there with Penn State coming away with the team title. Iowa finishing third behind Nebraska, who had a really good tournament. But the interesting thing, Penn State dominated its way to a title and still had quite a few hiccups along the way.
Mm-hmm. Right. That semifinal round, boy, I tell you, you after the round, you felt like Penn State was almost human. So
right.
It kind of got everyone thinking, can Nebraska catch them? They were chasing them there, for a while. So, and that semifinal round, wow! I mean, who would have predicted that? All of the things that happened. It's so fun to watch. And as in regards to Welsh Ryan Arena, I wrestled back there in the mid '70s when it was like bleacher, type of seating, and I remember. Roy Carver had flown in, and he was up in the stands there, and it was just a kind of a neat thing. But then to see on the Big Ten channel, that's how I watch it. To see they did a kind of a walk down some of the lanes there or whatever. It really looked beautiful. What a nice renovation. So anyway, but back to the action. Boy, oh boy. It was just so fun, that semifinal round. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The whole weekend was crazy, right? With conference championships. I mean, I think we were talking about, or we exchanged messages where 141 as a whole across the country, like 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 9 wrestlers. So you had 6 top 10 wrestlers all lose over the weekend. So we'll see how seeding goes when the brackets for the NCAA championships are released tonight. But it was a crazy weekend. Not such a great weekend for the University of Iowa. They kind of had the battle to hold on to third. Went 0-3 in the championship matches, so 2 straight years without a champion there. More finalists than a year ago. They still end up qualifying 9 total, which kind of figured that's how it would be when it was all said and done. But I think the biggest thing that really also stands out, only one wrestler wrestled beyond their seed or above their seed. Mikey Caliendo made the finals. He was the number 2 seed, wrestled a really good match, I think, against Mitchell Messenbrink, and had been dominant getting to the finals. So, I think that's an okay performance for him. Ben Keeter, after getting pinned by Greg Kirkfleet from Penn State, really bounced back to get third. And outside of that, it's kind of I don't want to say lackluster, but maybe just kind of a ho-hum or vanilla performance from the team.
I would agree. I'm big on comparing seeds to actual finishes, and Iowa finished 12 below their seeds, and that's with heavyweights bumping up, from 7th to 3rd. So he increased it by, going into heavyweight, they were down 16 on their seeds, and so that they cannot be happy with that. But they got their 9 in, and that's what you need. You just need to qualify, and maybe that mindset can be reversed between now and nationals. But there's so much going on. I mean, there were 10 number 1 seeds, 6 of the 10 number 1 seeds with the Big 10 that lost, and I'm going to compare it to the Big 12. 8 of the 10 lost at the Big 12. So
really,
both tournaments, there's upsets, and that just tells you that there's some really great quality wrestling going on, and so it's going to make fun for the national tournament. Like you said, at 41, off the top of my head, I'm thinking 97, which I don't think is a particularly strong weight, and that's going to make it kind of fun. 74 is pretty interesting. Don't count IL out at 33, and that guy,
no,
he can still win it. So
yeah, and that would be the other wrestler I'd kind of give a pass to. Kind of got caught in a little bit of an awkward situation. As somebody pointed out, the last time a 133 pounder got pinned on the Northwestern mat, they won a national title.
Oh,
you know what that was?
Oh, I got to think on that one. You're gonna have to help me. It's not coming.
Joey Colon pinned Tony Ramos in the finals of the Midlands, and Ramos went on to win a national title. I believe that was in Oklahoma City where he won, but I can't quite remember that. But yeah, Joe Colon pinned Tony Ramos in the finals of the Midlands, and Ramos went on to win a national title later that year. So,
yeah, and it was the same type of move too. It was an upper body kind of throw when they got into a scramble, and if I remember right, that Colon was able to catch him. And yeah. Okay, my mind went to when was the last time the Big Tens were at Northwestern? I didn't go to a Midlands.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yep.
So I think that's just kind of one of those things where you just have to flush right away. You end up going 1-1 with Lucas Bird, and I think they're going to be, the top 2 seeds going in. So kind of give a pass there with Ayala. But going back to Keeter, the one thing that that stood out to me is I don't think he's ever been in a position like that before, having to come through the consolations. And I think we talked about that on when I was heading home. That I don't ever remember, unless maybe there was a freestyle tournament or some competition, but I don't ever remember him having to battle through the consies like that, especially in a situation where so much is at stake. And he rifled off 4 straight wins, including wins over Nick Feldman of Ohio State, the number 4 seed, and then Josh Heintzelman, number 3 seed from Michigan, and he did it with tough rides. I know he wasn't real happy because he wanted to score more from his feet and stuff. So, but he found a way to win and riding tough, which isn't the easiest thing to do. But he did it, and I thought that showed a lot of resilience on his part. And one of the few bright spots for Iowa at Northwestern.
Right, and then so in reference to your questions, a question about has he ever had it? Obviously not in high school. He was undefeated. I remember when he came in as a freshman, Coach Corey Connell says, keep an eye on this guy. He's good. And then he goes undefeated and his career.
A little bit of an understatement.
Exactly. So the only place I don't think it probably happened. It doesn't happen in youth because a lot, it could, I guess, but and then maybe on the world scene, he had to do that reportage. Maybe, I don't know. I think he did place third one time, so maybe he had to come through there. Anyway, so yeah, he had a great tournament, and you're right. Kelly ended it with Messenbrink. That was a nice match, and he wrestled tough and closing the gap there too. So you never know. And as we know, Penn State is human.
Well, they're human, but the one thing with Penn State that we've seen over the years, this week and a half, they seem to really dial in on what changes need to be made or adjustments, or maybe it's just the way that they train in peak, that a lot of times between now and the national tournament, they really up their game and take care of business for those 3 days when it matters most.
Yep, I think that coaching staff is really good at, as we've seen, getting. This is the time when you got to get right up here. Physically you're good. I guess you can work on diet, keep maintaining your diet, and so you're strong there, getting good sleep and those types of things. But that mental training from now until the nationals, that's where I think they just excel. I mean, besides having quality, blue chip athletes that have probably been there before.
Right. So for everybody, the automatic qualifiers for the University of Iowa, obviously Ayala at 133, Parco at 149, Ja'Cory Teamer, who appears to be really banged up, ended up finishing 7th, but got an automatic berth at 157. Caliendo at 65. Patrick Kennedy, who got the nod, he finished 5th, was seeded 4th. He advances for the 3rd straight year. Gabe Arnold, also seeded 4th, finished 5th. Had a nice win to finish things off against Silas Allred. He moves on. Buchanan, a runner-up at 97. And then, of course, Keeter. Joey Cruz ends up getting an at-large to give them 9 total. So no real surprise. Cullen Shriver, I believe, went 1 and 2 and missed out on an automatic bid, and obviously knew that was the only way Iowa was going to qualify 141.
Right, and I look for Iowa to really bounce back and be strong. Use this to really as a motivating factor to get do this. Get right up here and hopefully they don't pour it on in terms of continue with your normal practices, not really push it, because we've seen that happen too in the past. They seemed a little tired in nationals too. So as far as the Big Tens are concerned, I'm going to shy away from Iowa just a little bit. And I was totally impressed with three other schools with, actually more than that, but in particular, Nebraska, Illinois. Boy, Illinois just had a great tournament, didn't they?
They did.
And who else am I missing?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Hello, Minnesota, of course, yeah. And so those three schools they really shined, I thought, really excelled.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of the things that should be pointed out, they each had really some kind of iPod, some performances that really kind of took, obviously Bird for Illinois did well, but, one of them that you got to look at, Cannon Webster from Illinois, his teammate at 149, where he made the finals and beat Shane Van Ness from Penn State. I think Webster was the number 8 seed maybe coming in. Ends up finishing second behind Ridge Lovett. That kind of stood out. Then you had Vance Von Bauer from Minnesota. He beat Bo Bartlett in the semis. He finished second to Brock Hardy of Nebraska. But you haven't seen that. I don't think you've seen that in previous tournaments, where you've had other teams kind of knock it off Penn State wrestlers. But you saw that this weekend, and those are two examples and two of the reasons why they had really good tournaments, and they were tied for fourth at one time. Max McAnally, he had an impressive performance. It took Carter Starochi to the brink. He took him down, scored the first points, was ahead, fell behind, came back, tied it up 5-5. Starochi ended up winning. Beautiful counter on a McAnally shot, who maybe panicked a little bit, kind of forced things, thinking he had to win it there. But great countered by Starochi and ends up winning 8-5. But McAnally, that was his first loss of the season. He's going to be somebody that you're going to have to watch at 184. But another good example of Minnesota's strong performance, who could have caught Iowa there at the end.
Right, and he actually got the first takedown on Starochi, and then and you're right, both takedowns that Starochi got on the first one that was kind of on the edge of the mat, and McAnally kind of tried to punch out, drive away, and kind of off the mat, not to go off the mat, but just kind of to get away. And when you do that, it brings that free ankle. Starochi was in on that single and brought that free ankle in and was able to collect it and get the takedown. So if he just kind of sat there and kept his whizzer in and kept fighting and just been more patient, I chalk that up to being a freshman. And I think that he'll learn from that. And so when I'm watching that match, as a Parker Keisen fan club guy, I'm going, holy cow. If McAnally wins, does that put Starochi as the number 2 seed and then Parker down to 3 and they have to meet in the semifinals? Or if Starochi wins, and now Parker maintains his number 2 seed, McAnally's number 3, and we have to try and beat him in the semifinals. Right. All of a sudden, 84 got a lot tougher. It was already real tough. So my mind's just going through all of that. But you're right, 84. There's another weight class.
Kind of interesting here. I always mention, first and foremost, I've always been a Michael Kemmerer fan. Ever since watching him and Max Thompson wrestle, actually him and Freddie Stroker wrestle at the Agon event here in Cedar Rapids before he even came to Iowa. And then he wrestled Max Thompson at Independence in the Dream Team, USA Dream Team event up there. Been a big fan ever since that time. His career through the University of Iowa, just him as a person and a competitor. He's in his first year at Minnesota, and I'm just going to bring this up. They finished fifth at 157, fourth at 65. 74 was a seventh, so not much to write about there. But then they go 2-4, and of course, Gable Stevenson. You can't credit Kemmerer for that. But they those the middle to upper weights wrestled pretty darn well, and you kind of wonder if maybe he had a little bit of an impact there.
I agree. First time I saw him wrestle was at the Agon thing down in town here, and very impressive. And then throughout his career, really a classy individual, and you could just tell. So I think that being, just those kids being around him, let alone being on the mat with him, probably, that what a great influence. And as that finals match was going on, they were giving, spotlighting him a little bit there as well, and kind of crediting him. And so, well deserved. And boy, what an influence if that's the case. If he has touched all of those guys, which you got to think he has. Good hire for Minnesota.
Yeah, good get. A couple other quick notes from the tournament. Luke Lillidahl from Penn State. He won a title there, beat Matt Ramos in the semis. He had a good performance, but also just the depth of this tournament. Mentioned Ramos losing, coming back, getting third. He was a national finalist. At 141, you had two national finalists wrestling for third place with Bo Bartlett and Jesse Mendez. I mean, the depth of this tournament is mind-boggling at times.
Right, and then I also look at. I'm not questioning it, but I just look at it and kind of go, Then you've got Michigan State, who they were last place in the Big Ten, scored 11.5 points, yet they have 3 qualifiers for nationals. Wisconsin, same situation, 19 points, and they have 3 qualifiers. Northwestern, 21.5 and 2 qualifiers. And I'm like, is the equity there between the Big Ten and some of the other qualifying tournaments? I don't know. So, but that was one that made me wonder. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's just have to see how that kind of shakes out in Philly. But no, you bring up a good point. Do they have the individuals, if they're only scoring that many points, that are worthy of being in the national tournament? Well, I guess we'll see in Philly there.
Right. You kind of have the same situation with the Big 12, with the depth of it. You had at least one former national champion that was not in the finals.
That's right.
From UNC for sure. And let's see, Alvarez, is that it? Am I saying that right? Alvarez, yeah, Alvarez.
Alvarez.
Yeah, and so you got pretty good depth there as well.
No, without a doubt, and that was one of the weight classes that Northern Iowa won. 3 champions, a league high, even more than Oklahoma State, going down to the final match of the tournament before a team champion is determined. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, what a fun tournament. I'm going to stand right here because I said it. You asked me direct question, does you and I have a chance to beat them? And I said flat out, no, I didn't think they did, and I was happy to be wrong. So, man, they came back on the backside, did a great job on the front side as well, and qualified 10. So with the 9 automatic, and then Lance Runyon at heavyweight was got a wild card. Is that what they're called, or at large?
At large, at large now, I think is the terminology for it.
Yeah. So really good tournament.
Yeah, that it was you're talking about the backside, the consolation matches, 17-5 in consolation match.
Wow.
That was their record. That was after going 4-6 through the first 2 rounds. Then they go 17-5. You mentioned Julian Farber at the onset, winning those 5 matches to get third after the opening round loss. Ryder Downey stubbed his toe in the quarterfinals. Russell, I think he won 4 straight to get third, including avenging a loss to Cody Chittum along the way. Add that to the fact that in placing matches they went 8-2. That's fantastic. So probably 2 of the hardest things to do wrestling on that backside, especially when you're fighting for maybe your NCAA tournament life. There, a lot of pressure, and then those placing matches. Some of them were, hey, you have to win to get in. I think Jack Thompson was in a situation like that at 165, and the Panthers did that. Very impressive weekend overall. And I think one of the things that really kind of stands out about this team, or if you were to take a snapshot of the weekend and say this is what defines the team, I'm even getting goosebumps talking about it at the moment. It's the reaction when White Volker won the 197 pound. Not only did it tie the team score, but you could see the genuine love and excitement for Wyatt winning from everybody. Not just for the team part, but his practice partners. I understand Caleb Runyon, say backup 97 pounder, just as happy for Volker. You see Parker Keckeisen going nuts for his teammate, and just a celebration there. I think that is the definitive. That is what defines this team.
For sure. I mean, that was the highlight of the weekend for me. I'm a UNI guy, so obviously that's going to mean more probably to me than most. But I don't care who you are, if you can't watch that and not say that is a cool scene right there. When it happened, it had a kind of a bird's eye view looking down on it. When I was watching it live on TV, I wasn't down there this year, but anyway, then when I saw a different angle of it, it's still, I'm like, I figured that's what you're talking about. I was getting goosebumps with you just thinking about it. And then I don't know, they did interview Parker after his match, and he was disappointed I saw this somewhere, the interview, I'm not sure, that he didn't do his job. He didn't get the bonus points in his match. He's wrestling the national runner-up in the finals, and he's mad that he didn't get the bonus points to give UNI a chance had Schultz beaten Henderson in the finals. So anyway,
this is what I thought was interesting. So I talked to Parker Keckeisen yesterday, working on a preview feature for the NCAA tournament. Parker was gracious enough to give me a call just less than 48 hours after all of that. And I appreciate that a ton. But he talked about how that was the first time he's ever been in a team race. Not in high school, first time in college that they've really seriously been involved in a team race. And that was absolutely that was exciting for him. That was a new experience, and he loved it. With everybody being down there, of course, they've talked about just how close this team is. A lot of times when you hear teams talk about, oh well, this is a family, we're brothers, this kind of thing. It's just a buzz term or it's cliche. This is genuine. This is sincere. This team is bonded like few teams I've seen. I think the Iowa team that won in 2021 and that could have won in 2020 had COVID not wiped out the NCAA tournament. Kind of saw that with them a little bit. Kemmerer, Lee, Marinelli, those guys. But this is something different. This is a real team, you know? And I think that's what's propelled them to a lot of their success this year.
Right. And all of those qualities that you just mentioned about the team, genuine, sincere, humble, those types of things, that's what I get the sense with Parker. The little bit that I've ever talked with him, he's that kind of a guy. And just, that's neat that he and his teammates finally got to enjoy that. And just, it was a neat scene. So if you haven't seen it, Google it somewhere. I don't know how you do it these days, but
yep. Let's Cale Happel. Let's talk about what he was able to accomplish. He escapes in tiebreaker to beat Tegan Jamison, who had beaten Alvarez beforehand. These guys have had really close battles, but just over Cale's career, where he had a chance to get an automatic berth as a freshman, missed out, and ended up having to settle for being an alternate and not wrestling at the NCAAs. Then he goes 0-2 again at the Big 12s, but his resume was good enough to get an at-large bid for the NCAAs. Last year, kind of gets the monkey off his back, gets to the finals, and then this year winning it. I mean, that, I tell you, that is a great testament to his fortitude and the progress and just going out there. Talked to him before the meet, said he's just looking on, enjoying this and having fun. And, wrestling is a big part of his life right now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be something very small, looking down the road. So just enjoy it. Just enjoy the moments. Just have fun doing something that you love doing. And I think it showed.
Right. And with I'm going to go back a little bit. You just kind of made it sound easy, but it wasn't. When you said he got the escape in the tiebreaker, so he's got, typically you get 30-second tiebreaker. Well, he's got to do it within, I think, 14 seconds because to keep the writing time to win, because it ended up 2-2, and he ended up having more writing time, and that was the difference and gave him the title. So that's how tight that match was, but it makes that escape even that much more critical because he had to do it in a short amount of time, and a guy that's all the top guys trying to do is basically hang on. And because he's probably not going to get a warning and get a stalemate or something like that and burn up the writing time. So that was critical. And happy for that Happel family and his progression. And this is his senior year, or his last year. So let's get it done there. But that's that 41-pound weight class. It's going to be hard to see.
Yeah. With everything that went on this weekend, it's going to be interesting to see how things fall out, especially for the top four or five. And really, there's not much difference between 4 and 5. So, but you get the gist there with it's not going to be easy. Might be the toughest for that committee to
again, I'm going to go back to the matches, the finals matches. Panther guy, I was Colin Realbuto. He was wrestling so tough in that match, and then he ends up giving up a takedown with 20 seconds because he kind of went down on his heels and was backing up a little bit to protect his lead. And Pinero Johnson got the takedown, and that one, God, I was so disappointed for Colin because he wrestled really, I thought, a better match than Pinero, and then Pinero got the takedown, so I can't really say that, but so I was disappointed for him and for the team because that would have put him into a tie right there. You can't throw that on Colin, but because there's other opportunities as well. But that was one there. The 74-pound match with Keegan O'Toole and Dean Hamady. Wow, that one was another good one.
That was everything good to me.
Say it again.
That was everything kind of expected from those two. I think that was one of the highlight matches, and they delivered.
Yeah, another sudden victory with Keegan O'Toole getting the takedown there, and was Hamady a champ or an NCAA champ?
I don't think he was an NCAA champ.
Okay, yeah, so
maybe a finalist.
Finalist, yeah, and boy, some great matches though. Even the heavyweight match with the team. You got Wyatt Hendrickson, number 3 ranked, and Schultz at number 4 ranked, I believe, in most polls, and going down to the title. And of course, all of the UNI people are cheering for Schultz to win because that would give them a tie then for the team title with Oklahoma State. But Hendrickson's just too much, He's just a big,
right,
strong wrestler.
A couple other things to kind of mention here as well. UNI's reign at 184 extends to 8 straight years, winning a conference title at one weight class, especially one of the top 2 in the country. That's phenomenal. Of course, it helps to have Parker Keckeisen for 5, but Drew Foster 2 years, Taylor Lujan for 1. Parker makes it 8 in a row, and every year UNI's been in the Big 12, so that's impressive. Big 12 attendance for the 2 days. They drew 21,309 over the 2-day event. That sets an attendance record at the BOK Center. And of course, that event has been held there since 2017. Previous mark was 19,892 in 2019. So obviously a lot of Oklahoma State fans in attendance, kind of that re-energized fan base with David Taylor at the helm, and I'm sure that had an impact as well with that.
I'm sure that was a huge part. I mean, it's in the same state, of course, not much of a trip for them. I think you and I probably traveled pretty well.
Sure.
So, but nothing that would, match the Oklahoma State crowd for sure.
Sure. Also with Iowa State, Pinero Johnson won his second title, and what, a tough journey for him. He had to deal with the gambling investigation and out a year. Comes back, has wrestled anywhere between 149 and 165 for this team. Settles in at 149, and as you mentioned, avenged the loss to Realbuto in the finals. He becomes the 39th 2-time conference champion for the Cyclones. They finished 4th overall, about 2.5 points back of South Dakota State for 3rd. One of the other individual performances to really highlight, MJ Gatan. He comes back and got 3rd, lost to Keegan O'Toole, the eventual champion and OW of the tournament. And then reeled off 4 straight consolation wins, including a win over Oklahoma's number 3 seed, Gavin Stack, in the final round. So He got on a roll and wrestled really well. Iowa State finished with 6 qualifiers there, and then they received 2 at-large berths with Evan Frost at 133, the returning All-American, who didn't get an automatic berth, and then heavyweight Daniel Herrera, freshman, gets an at-large berth. And he wasn't somebody expected to be in the lineup. But when Bastida went down, he stepped in, and now he's going to the NCAA tournament. So, nice accomplishment for Herrera there at heavyweight.
Is Herrera a true freshman or a redshirt? Do you
know? Pretty sure he's a true freshman.
Okay, so when
I think he won it for Ames last year. I think he was a state champ for Ames.
Okay, so when Younger comes back, he can redshirt next year if that happens. So.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So that all that being said, with talking about our D1 schools, the best wrestling school in Iowa may in fact be in Des Moines. What do you think, KJ?
Very well could be with the way they performed. This last weekend, I tell you, it amazes me what Nick Mitchell has done and continues to do there at Grandview.
It's incredible. NAIA is a little bit different. You can put 12 people into qualify. So they have 12 qualifiers, but they only had 12 qualifiers in 9 weights. They didn't have a heavyweight. So they had 6 champions in 9 of the weights that they entered, and a runner-up. And the runner-up lost to their own. It was an all Grandview finals at 25. So of their 7 finalists, only 6 could win, and that's incredible. It was 209. Team score was 209 for Grandview, and then Life University had 149. So not even close. Incredible.
Yeah. Record-setting win there with the 209 points.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's not surprised though.
Here's an interesting little fact about this. Since the program started up, and Nick Mitchell's been the only head coach. He was the one that went from Wartburg to kick this off. The first season was 08-09. They have won 13 national championships in 17 years. They have scored over those 17 years. They scored almost 2,500 team points at the tournament. Over those 17 seasons, they have 146 All-Americans. As you mentioned, there is a little bit of a caveat there where you can actually have more than just one person at a couple weights, but still, that is that it's mind-boggling. 13 national titles, finished second one time. But Nick Mitchell, what he's done there is, I'm not sure if that's, I know what Gable's done, Harold Nichols, coaches at different levels, but this has got to be one of the most impressive coaching feats that we've seen, regardless of level. It's right. It's got to be up there.
I was going to say, Coach Mitchell's probably saying, Kale who?
Yeah, right.
I can move over. I got this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen, but their wrestling room is phenomenal. Geez, so for a program a school that didn't have a program in 2009, they've really invested in it, and it's paid off too. So,
yep. Just kind of looking down, Aiden Reeves I believe he was from Albia. He won the 125-pound title. Elijah Larson won at 149. Cam Robinson at 165. Alex Reynolds won his second straight title at 174. And then the 197-pounder, Garavos, GK, as they call him, he won the 197-pound title as well. So what an impressive performance for the Grandview Vikings.
Right.
And of course, they're not the only team to repeat a national championship. The Iowa women at national women's wrestling championships, collegiate women's wrestling championships in Coralville this year. Iowa comes away with their second team title. 2 in as many years. They scored 201.5 points, outlasting North Central again, who scored 181. But the Iowa women, not unexpected, but still a real strong performance overall for them.
Right. Then they had 3 champions. Macy Kilty at 145, and the phenomenal Kennedy Blades at 160, and Kylie Welker at 180. Blades had 5 technical falls. She scored 43 match points and gave up 0. Kylie Welker had a fall and 4 technical falls and went 40-0 in match points. So pretty impressive, those two for sure. Yeah. And, overall, though, I think I bet coach is not 100% satisfied. There's some number 1 seeds or high seeds that didn't quite wrestle up to their seed there. So that being said, we still have put 201.5 points on the board and won a title. Can't be too disappointed, but that's the nature of wrestling coaches and wrestlers. Got to do better. What can we do?
One of the things that kind of stood out to me, obviously, those middleweight hammers, Kilty, Laramendi, Blades, Welker, and let's throw Naomi Simon in there too. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second, but especially Kilty, Blades, Welker. You talked about just what they did as far as match points and everything goes. You look at their 77-0 throughout the year. I mean that's pretty amazing when you think about that. Obviously they're dominant. They won. What other two? 145. You've had that Macy Kilty, Reese Laramendi. Laramendi was a national champ last year, if I remember correctly. Macy Kilty has a change of heart, decides to come to Iowa, ends up winning the national title. That's a cool story. But one thing, too, is that Laramendi and Kilty both wrestled a former Hawk in Bellamere, who transferred from Iowa after last season to North Central. And Bellamere ends up knocking off Reese Laramendi in the semifinals, 6-3. And then Kilty beats her 7-2 in the championship. But kind of interesting storyline there with Bellamere facing a former teammate and getting the win. And then Kilty winning her title with a win over Mir. So kind of interesting there.
I spotted that as well. That's interesting. And I guess good for Bellamere if she wasn't going to be able to make the team, or I don't know what the reason for transferring was, but to make the finals, well done there for the former Iowa. But North Central, you got to remember, North Central is a Division III school, and you got Division I, so different, different. Kind of a different playing field. There are some that scholarships that are involved with Division I and not Division III, and that sort of thing. So,
right.
I was Iowa might be disappointed. They had 3 number 1 seeds that didn't win, and 2 of them didn't even make the final. So that's kind of my point was with that. So,
I do want to mention Naomi Simon. She finished 3rd. Her only loss, I think she was the number 4 seed coming in. Her only loss was to Kylie Welker, her teammate, in the semifinals. And then she bounces back with a technical superiority win and then a 9-0 shutout over Lawson of North Central. Naomi Simon, the former Decorah Prep. She finishes the season 39-4. I want to say all 4 losses have been to Welker in tournaments that they've been in together. So I may be fudging on that a little bit, but I know at least multiple losses have come to her teammate. So what an impressive freshman season for Naomi Simon, wrestling with one of the nation's best when it comes to Kylie Welker.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's going to make her hungry for the rest of her career here still.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And knowing the tenacity that she has and the dedication that she has, she's going to be somebody that is going to put up a lot of dominant wins, I think, going forward. Right. To continue what she's already done, really.
I was kind of curious, KJ, so I was looking of the 33 girls that are listed on the roster, Iowa women's roster, 4 of them are from Iowa high schools. And I'm pretty sure you can tell me which schools. I'll say the name and you tell me the school, right? Kiara Giomessi.
Waverly Shell Rock.
Lily Luft.
Charles City.
And of course, Naomi Simon, we know. You already mentioned it. Yep. And Ella Schmidt.
Charles City.
Ella Schmidt is actually Bettendorf.
Oh, Bettendorf.
Yep. So those are the 4 Iowa girls that are on there. I want to mention this and sneak this in as well. Dubuque had 2 that qualified, and both of them placed 8th. So I thought that was kind of neat. Or sorry, one was 8th and one was 7th. But I thought that was cool that both of the Dubuque schools girls were able to make a stand. So
yeah, and of course I think they have some pretty good coaches there working with them. If I remember right, is Dennis Hall still one that?
Yeah, he was in the past. I'm not sure if he still is or not. I don't know. It's a good question. I forgot about
it. I'm looking that up right now, just because I'm curious. Since you mentioned UD, and I know they've had a strong, Dennis Hall, the head women's coach there, and of course Dylan Kuntz, we know him, his career at the UD, so you've got some pretty darn good coaches there working with the women's wrestlers at UD when you think of a silver medalist Olympian, right?
Right. In Dennis Hall, right? Wow. Yep. On the Greco team.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even tougher because U.S. doesn't typically do well in Greco. So for him to bring home a silver medal, that's highly impressive there. So that's neat. Yeah. Now, also, Wartburg had 7 qualifiers, no medalists, and Simpson had 9 qualifiers with no medalists. But so lots of representation with Iowa schools.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to mention too, mainly because I'm kind of a big fan of his as well. Joe Norton, the North Central head coach. named Coach of the Year. So kudos to Joe Norton. He does a great job there at North Central. As you mentioned, a little bit of a different playing field, and we'll see how things kind of advance now that the NCAA is going to have their own championship for women's wrestling. We'll see how that might end up splitting in divisions or what have you in the future. But North Central really challenged Iowa a few times
Right. And I got to
this year with the national duels and this year.
right. I got to watch Joe Norton coach. He was the men's coach prior to jumping over to the women's coach 2-3 years ago. So as Kyle was going through, I got to watch him coach and his teams, and he did a great job with the men's program as well.
And I know Amani Jones won a title for them. Might have been her second, but yeah, they've had some good teams, and of course, Cindy Petzinger at 117 also won a title as well. So really, it'll be interesting to see how the NCAA decision to sponsor a championship finally for women's wrestling will affect things going forward.
Hopefully, it's positive for the women and not negative for the men. So
right. Well, speaking of national championships, we got a couple of them coming up here this weekend. The NCAA Division 2 and Division 3 championships are this weekend. The D3s out at Rhode Island. Co 7-4 out there. Brackets have been released. What is your take here on the D3s coming up?
All right, I've done on me. I love my D3s. I even got my D3 national championship shirt on today. Since you brought up Co, I'll start with them. They brought 4, or they qualified 4. Then they've got Braden Park at 125. He's not seeded, but he's sitting in a good spot. He has a bye to the second round, and he wrestles then the number 6 seed from South Maine. That has 25-5. So that's a winnable match. Then Bryce Park is seeded. He's the 7th seed. He has wrestled. His record is 23-4 so far this year. He wrestles the wrestler from Washington Lee that's 24-12. So I think he can win there. And he should. He's the higher seed. J.R. Richardson at 174 is 22-4 in the season, and he's got a bye to the second round, as did Bryce Park. He wrestles Ohio Northern kid that's 19-9, very winnable match. Jared Voss at 184, 23-4 on the season. He has a MSOE, and the wrestler has get this 34-16. That's 50 matches this year. Holy cow, that's a lot. In the first, he has a first round match. So, but that's a very winnable match. And Jared's a 6th seed. So I kind of looked at the team race, based on seeds, and they came out last night. So I was scrambling that because I did it based on rankings, and I changed the actual seeds. So here's what I've got. And I did it just on seeds, no advancement, no bonus points or anything like that. So based on your seed, if everyone wrestles to seed, which we know never happens, but if they did, can you
especially the D3s?
Yeah, especially D3s. Yeah, the team that's in front right now with 51 points is Johnson and Wales, and then they have 3 other wrestlers that can score points. Then the number 2 team would be lacrosse with our friend Dave Malachek is 47, so 51-47. The third team is Augsburg at 34, and then Wartburg drops in at 31. So that team race, the Bergs, who have had a lock on the national championship forever, this could be the year maybe that they maybe Johnson Wales or lacrosse sneaks in ahead of them there. Anyway,
and remember the last year we talked about this. The last year, a non-Berg team won.
Yeah, you told me it was out east.
94.
Yeah, what team was it? Not College of New Jersey. Ithaca. It was Ithaca, right? Yeah, Ithaca.
Yep.
So anyway, locally, KJ, I don't know if you knew this, but Loris qualified 7 wrestlers, and all 7 wrestlers are from the Iowa high schools. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not realize that.
I didn't even tell this morning when I was looking at it. Number 2 seed at 174, Zeb Ganida is from Solon. He's looking good, has a lacrosse kid. Mm-hmm. And then Jalen Schropp, you know where he's from. You covered him. Bubba from Williamsburg. Yeah. And then Aiden Evans and Dustin Bourne are both from Bettendorf. And then Chase and Connor Pfizer are from Bondurant Farrar. So also, so that's kind of neat, I thought. And that's why.
And Eric Kincaid is from Comanche.
And Kincaid, I'm sorry, I forgot Kincaid. I skipped him. You're right, my fault.
Yep.
And then moving on, I guess Luther, Clayton McDonough is I think he's
he's from Central Springs.
Central Springs, okay. And then he's the 8th seed, and then their heavyweight Walter West is the number 4 seed. They qualified 4. And then Cornell's Brian Petrie, he has a bye to the second round, and then he has the Augsburg number 3 seed wrestler. So he's got a tough round there. So anyway, that's kind of the where we're sitting with the Iowa wrestlers in the team race.
So interestingly for Luther, McDonough and Walter West both returning All-Americans, so they're looking for their second national plaque, All-American finish. One thing I found out about Walter West, did not start wrestling until his 8th grade season.
Wow.
So when you really think about it, especially in this day and age, that's kind of a late start, especially for somebody who's looking for a second All-American finish. And that tells you don't have to wrestle 70 or 80 matches when you're 6 years old to have success at the college level when it's all said and done.
That's impressive. Wow. I did not know that. That's good information there.
Yeah. Scoop. And he's 20-1 coming into this tournament, and not out of the realm of possibility that he can contend for a title.
Right. Yep. And I kind of didn't mention some of the schools, but the regional tournament, I was impressed because there were lots of wrestlers from different schools that were doing so well. So I'd like to see that happen again at the national tournament. Get some medals to UD and to Luther and to Loris, and those, have Cornell sneak their wrestler in it.
Right. Show a little parity there.
Right. I like that. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that tournament begins Friday morning, as we mentioned, out at Rhode Island. Johnson and Wales, right, is the host.
Right, in Providence. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the nickname JWU. JWU.
JW.
I like that.
That's what Kyle and I call it.
Okay. And then lastly here, the D2 tournament, that's also this weekend, starting Friday. Upper Iowa has 2 wrestlers competing there. And that's in Indianapolis, if I didn't mention that right away. Ethan Doty at 149 qualified, as well as Lawson Losi at 174. So 2 qualifiers for the Peacocks.
Right. It's that very tough. Remember, we mentioned it in the last show, that very tough regional that they were in, super regional, and I'm sad that they only got 2 for those wrestlers, but man, there's not a lot of equity in that. Extremely difficult, but it's good luck to those 2.
For sure. Both of them are seeded 8 at their respective weight classes. Lawson Losi 25-10, the number 8 seed at 174, and then Ethan Doty, the number 8 at 149, 29-9. So certainly 2 guys that could make a run for a medal, and I think that would be a nice way to close out the season if they could both get to the award stand for Upper Iowa.
Yeah, that'd very nice. But so they're as an 8 seed, they should have a winnable match. And remember, there's only 18 wrestlers in that D2 bracket. There's 6 regionals, whereas the D3 has 7 regionals. So there's a little bit easier, kind of eliminate a round unless you get one of those pigtail matches.
Right.
You just have to win fewer matches, but makes it tougher competition also.
I think the team race will be kind of interesting. You've got Gannon from Pennsylvania that's got 9 qualifiers. You've got Nebraska Kearney that has 10. I think Landon, the old I think that's the newer. Just want to say they're only about 5 or 6 years into their program, but they've done well at the national level. They're from South Carolina, and then St. Cloud State. They've got 8 qualifiers, so could be kind of fun in the team race. Keeping an eye on that.
Well, if I remember right, St. Cloud State was the number 1 ranked team in that very tough regional that Upper Iowa was in. So even they took a little bit of a hit with only qualifying 8, only 8.
Yeah, but only 8. Yeah. McKendree's got 7 as well. So those are some familiar programs that people know, and they've got some good representation there. But all right, so exciting weekend ahead for D2 and D3s, and then next week we'll delve into the D1 championships as well as recapping those a week from now. Any parting shots or any last comments before we sign things out?
No, last weekend and this weekend and next weekend, this is fun college wrestling time.
No.
Yep.
No, for sure. We're coming to a close here with the D1s next week in Philadelphia, and we'll talk about that then. For Coach Briggs, for our producer Becky Gardner, who puts this together every week. Want to thank everybody for watching us and tuning in and letting us talk about wrestling and give our insights to you. So thank you very much for following along. And as always, our late friend Wyatt Schultz, the way he would always close things out in his message. Coach Briggs, why don't you send us out?
Let's keep wrestling on the move.